They arrive in their hundreds every day at the border town of Renk, hungry, tired, and traumatized. They left everything behind. More than 500,000 South Sudanese returning home, as well as Sudanese refugees fleeing fighting in Sudan, have crossed the border in the last year. Their journey has been perilous. Al Jazeera met Laila Peter at a transit camp. She fled from Sudan's capital, Khartoum, after she and her children ran out of food and a safe place to live. Many people died, she says. Some were killed by bombs on planes. Even my best friend died. Aid workers are struggling to provide basic supplies for the new arrivals. South Sudan is a country where 9 million people need humanitarian assistance. Some are living in camps for the displaced because of ongoing ethnic conflicts.
The situation I'm seeing now is not what I saw in other places. This is quite a complex intervention because we are not only dealing with one community. We have returnees coming back to their countries. We have refugees coming in, and we have other third national countries also coming in.
The Sudanese army and fighters from the Rapid Support Forces have both been accused of human rights abuses in Sudan.
The 15th of April for us is actually a mobilizing moment. It's a moment of solidarity. It's a moment where a random Kenyan who perhaps was not aware that this is happening is now informed and is furious, is angry, is anxious. And perhaps collectively we can put more pressure on our different actors.
South Sudan and its northern neighbor share a troubled history. The two countries split in 2011 after a civil war that lasted decades. More than 2 million people were killed. Some returnees who had opted to stay in Sudan say they want to go back to their villages, but they've been away for so long they don't know where to start. Catherine Soy, Al Jazeera.
We're joined now by Dalia Mohammed Abdulmanem. She is a Sudanese activist and joins us now from Cairo. Ms. Abdulmanem, good to have you with us on Al Jazeera. Can I just begin by asking you what your life was like with your family before the unrest occurred 12 months ago?
Typical family, you know, we had work, we were enjoying Ramadan, making plans for Eid, and everything went up in smoke within minutes, basically.
How did you end up in Cairo then? And why did you choose Egypt? Whereas I think maybe your extended family is quite scattered right now, I believe.
Yes, I mean, my immediate family, we have no one left in Khartoum from my father's side. We're all over the place. We came to Egypt simply because of the proximity to Sudan, you know, the historical ties between the two countries, the cultural ties as well, the language. And I used to live in Egypt, so there's a sense of familiarity of being here. And I felt that I could do more work being closer to Sudan than initially I had gone to the UK, but that was just like a transitional period. But we're based here now. And it makes you closer. It brings you closer to what's happening back home.
Not trying to make light of this in any shape or form, but how easy or difficult is it to exist as a displaced person? Because at the end of the day, you still have to rent somewhere, you still have to buy shopping, you still have to finance your very existence. How difficult has that become, and how do you do it?
It's very difficult emotionally and, you know, mentally. You have to accept the fact that you are a guest in another country, and you have to navigate, you know, the nuances of every country the country that you're in. And it's not easy because from being a homeowner in Sudan to being a tenant here, you know, there's a lot of difficulties you face. You know, our income has been severely hampered and impacted by the war. So we have to, you know, reassess everything. And I'm luckier than a lot of other Sudanese in Cairo or elsewhere. And so if I'm facing difficulties, I can't begin to imagine how much worse it is for the others.
Are you in communication with friends or extended family in any area of Sudan? I mean, what are they telling you?
We're in communication with the contacts, you know, colleagues and, you know, people that we know, family, friends who are in Al Jazeera. And it's very patchy, you know, communication is not, you know, we send them a message and we wait for them to get back to us when they have connectivity. And most of the times their response is, we need help, can you help us? People have no income, people have no food. And, you know, with the communications blackout a few months ago, it really hampered all all local mutual aid, networks. So we do what we can. We try to help. We help anyone who comes and says, I need help. People who need medication. We've known so many people who've died. You know, we know a girl whose father died because she couldn't get him his medication. He was asthmatic. She couldn't get the basic inhaler. Her father passed away. And how do you console a person like that who's been displaced, is facing the threat of the RSF because she's based in Al Jazeera and her father has passed away and her mother is elderly and she has young kids with her in the house.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. It takes an emotional toll on you, but we have to keep pushing. There's nothing else we can do.
Yeah, just a few moments ago we were speaking to an aid worker and they were telling us how difficult it is to get aid to Al Jazeera area. I mean, a year ago, Sudan was the top global news story. I was sitting in this chair breaking that news globally to our viewers on Al Jazeera. Now it's Gaza. How has that affected you might say, the push to find a solution politically to the problem in Sudan? I mean, is anyone listening to you? I mean, in terms of the voices of civil society as spread out as they are?
No, it's an echo chamber. You know, and we feel that everything we say, everything that we're shouting about, you know, it falls on deaf ears, basically. And this is one of the battles, the struggles that we're facing, how to overcome and how to get back attention. And I think only now is the penny beginning to drop in regards to how bad the humanitarian situation is and the spillover effect from the continuation of this war and of the humanitarian situation, not just on Sudan and regionally, but also globally. I know Europe is very anti, they don't want any more migrants coming over, but the more people are displaced, the more they will seek safety and security elsewhere. So they can't come back and cry to us and say, oh, we have too many migrants coming over. Well, you didn't help when the help was needed. And we've been, for example, I work in a think tank right now, a Sudanese think tank. We've been shouting about the famine since the beginning of January. And only recently has the United Nations actually addressed the issue of the looming famine. One report says that worst case scenario, 10,000 people could die on a daily basis in Sudan if the threat of famine is not addressed.
And that neatly brings me to my next question, really. Our final question, sadly, is that various stakeholders really have vested interest in Sudan, certainly the warring generals. You've touched on the fact that the international community is happy to moan about migrants coming from conflict areas. What do you want to see on the diplomatic front? What sort of push do you want to see, and where do you want that push to come from?
There needs to be more pressure applied to the backers of both the RSF and SAF. There needs to be more pressure applied to allow humanitarian assistance to get through to those who need it the most. There needs to be more pressure in finding a diplomatic solution to this war. How that diplomatic solution is, I keep flipping from one decision to the other. But end of the day, this war has to end, because the longer it goes on, the worse the situation, the more catastrophic the situation is. It's already a crisis. It's going to get much, much worse.
We will continue to monitor, certainly, what's going on. It's been really good speaking to you, and thank you very much for being so frank with us here on Al Jazeera. Dalia Mohammed Abdulmenem joining us from Cairo. Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.